Hey guys, what is going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about a realistic trade that I'd actually like to see the New York Jets make. So we're not going to come on and be like, trade for Justin Jefferson or like trade for Patrick Mahomes, but I did want to come on and talk about a player who is on the trade market at a massive position of need for the New York Jets, and something that I think is honestly pretty reasonable, and that is Dallas Goedert, the tight end of the Philadelphia Eagles. He has been made available via trade, and Howie Roseman had a quote on Dallas Goedert earlier this week. Really makes you think that he won't be on the Eagles for much longer. There's no update. Obviously, Dallas has been a tremendous player and person for us. The opportunities that we got into free agency with tight ends Harrison Bryant and Granson were just opportunities we felt were good for our football team. I know certainly that Dallas is a unique player. So really that's kind of where we're standing. Now, the assumption is that Dallas Goedert would be traded, but we'll get into when and what the Philadelphia Eagles are looking for in a trade. Apparently, they are hoping for a fourth-round pick in return for Dallas Goedert. Now, in this year's draft class, the Jets hold a pick 109 in the fourth round. So that would be the capital that it would take in this year's draft, but put a pin in that. I'll explain why I think a June 1 trade might end up making some more sense here. Last year, Goedert played in 10 games, had 496 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Over the past 3 seasons, he has a 17-game pace of 74 catches, 845 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. He's been a really good tight end in this league for a long time. He could line up as an inline tight end. He could line up as a big slot. He kind of split the difference between those two positions last year. He's a good blocker as well, which I think would be massively valuable for this offense. The New York Jets desperately need tight end help and are looking to upgrade the blocking ability from their tight ends. Unfortunately, that was a strength for Jeremy Ruckert, but in year 3, had some really head-scratching plays in the run game, and I don't know if you can go into the season relying on him to be your run block guy. And Stone Smart is just essentially a big slot receiver. He is not much of a blocking tight end in the least, and Dallas Goedert, someone who I think can impact both aspects of the game as a pass catcher and as a blocker. Now, as a post-June 1 trade, the Eagles would save $4 million instead of taking a big cap hit, cap loss in dead money if they were to trade him before that. He has a low base salary for the acquiring team at just $1.255 million. So I know he's going into the final year of his deal. I know he's 30 years old, but it is at such a low cost and honestly not asking all that much draft capital for it. Plus, if it's a post-June 1 trade, then we're talking about a 2026 pick. And if it's a 2026 fourth round pick, you could still use your entire draft class this year to fill out the rest of your roster. Now, this also gives you some flexibility, right? Because adding Dallas Goedert doesn't make tight end like the biggest, most pressing need. You could then go with an Armand Membu on day 1 and then use a day 2 pick on a tight end like Mason Taylor, for example, who's been talked about a lot to the New York Jets. Jason Taylor's son played at LSU, really athletic, a little bit raw coming out of college, but honestly, who better for him to learn from than a guy like Dallas Goedert? We saw the benefits that Olu Fashanu had from having Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith in the locker room a year ago. Why not do that for a different position at tight end? And the Jets really don't have a ton of reliable veterans in this offense. It's a very young offense. The quarterback's 26 years old. Garrett Wilson's a young player in this league. Jeremy Ruckert and Stone Smart are young and inexperienced. The offensive line from left to right is all, younger guys. Who's the real veteran leader on the offensive side of the ball? The answer is they don't have one right now. Dallas Goedert can do that for you at a cheap price and not much draft capital going back the other way, and can still be productive for you in this offense in 2025. I like the fit. I think, he's a nice safety blanket for Justin Fields. I think he could help whichever young tight end you decide to draft in April, later this month. And you're telling me that Dallas Goedert with, Mason Taylor for a year isn't worth it? I think so. And who knows, maybe Goedert plays well and you want to sign him on a 2-year extension and you have a nice 1-2 punch at the position instead of two guys in Stone Smart and Jeremy Ruckert who have honestly not shown a lot. It's very projection based with both of those two guys. So honestly, this is one that I'm in on, and that's a hot take for some because this goes against, the Jets' philosophy of adding a bunch of younger players on this roster, but this is something that I think can benefit the New York Jets in the immediate, but then also the long term with the continued development of the players at that position, guided by Dallas Goedert. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.